Blaze? 25 or 26, one of the two. Either way, he beat the record by more than one.
25. Coach, Jared, Nick, thank you very much for joining us. We'll start with opening statements for you guys about the game and take questions from the room and on Zoom.
Yeah, I think Blaze Reardon played a pretty incredible game. Second half, I think we started pressing a little too much and shooting the ball a little early, and our D played a lot of defense in the third quarter, so it's a trickle-down effect towards the end, and we made a press and got a 2 at the end, but we were a little disjointed offensively in the second half, and a lot of it had to do with the early shots. So.
Yeah, I think, like Coach said, Blaze played an amazing game. I thought our offense got good looks defensively. Yeah, we played a lot of defense, but starting with myself, I think just a lot of self-inflicted wounds, especially once we got tired in the fourth quarter. So just got to make sure we buckle down, continue to give opportunities for our offense, starting with ourselves. We got to continue to stop giving self-inflicted wounds and just play complete team defense for 52 seconds the entire game.
Yeah, credit to the chaos. I mean, I said they probably said it all. Offensively, just got to help, play more complementary across the board. But like I said, just not good enough at the end of the day.
All right, we'll take questions in the room here.
Jerry, what did you make of the stylistic differences from the pro ranks to the college game, shorter shot clock? Did you feel quicker at all?
Yeah, I mean, said super fast pace. Again, you're playing against the best guys in the world. It was fun, going out there and competing high level, but like I said, our goal is to go out there and win and play well, and like I said, we just, didn't do that today.
Nick, for you, especially in that fourth quarter, what was Chaos offense doing so well that kind of made it difficult to stop them down the stretch?
Yeah, I think they were just playing to themselves. They were playing their offense. I mean, they were just patient, getting the ball up and down, waiting for a breakdown, and then capitalizing on that. I think it was more lack of communication. Again, starting myself, I got to be better off ball with that type of stuff, and then guarding the ball. But just give credit to them, kind of sticking to how they play offense, kind of moving the ball, and just going through their formations.
Coach, you've only had 2 midfielders score goals this year. Is Graham Bundy's 2-pointer, and then Dalton Young has 3 on the year. How do you get that unit going?
That's a good question that we're going to try to figure out this week for sure. And I think it's the style of offense we're playing is a lot of middies initiating and then the ball falling in attackman's hands. So we had opportunities. Middies had opportunities the last 2 weeks, and we just didn't can the shots. So we'll continue to look at film and try to provide more opportunities for them.
Other questions?
For Jared, obviously you weren't at training camp with the rest of the guys. What was the chemistry like coming out here tonight for your first game with these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I just think across the board, again, we got to be better. It wasn't enough at the end of the day. Again, you're going to go out there and make mistakes, but you try to limit those, and then next week come out, clean them up, and again play better. So that's all you can really do. The game's over.
Hey, I'm Shane Connick from the Charlotte Observer here. How cool is it just this week? You got a good atmosphere for lacrosse and growing the game as much here in Charlotte. Just how cool is the experience of just on this stage in the Queen City? Coach and Jared.
Okay. I've always loved coming down here. I think the fans have always been awesome down here, since the old days of the Hounds, right? So, it's a fun city to be in, and it's a lot more fun when you win, but the support is great, and the venue's awesome. So, kudos to Charlotte for sure.
Yeah, said it was awesome. I'm a Florida guy. Any chance to grow the game. Like I said, it's super cool to see all the fans, all the kids, the atmosphere and their energy is, like I said, it's awesome to see for the sport.
Any more questions in the room?
Is it fair to say that you might be mixing and matching some different units on the offense, would you say, Coach, after this game, or you kind of stay the pace, stay the course, or do you think you're mixing some different guys around it after this?
We'll take a look at it. I think we were really effective at getting quality shots in the first half, honestly. I don't think it should have been close in the first half, but Blaze stood on his head. So I think watching film will help with that, but at the end of the day, we're gonna, give Jared some runs out of the box and potentially try to get some matchup changes. We just didn't feel like we needed that tonight because we were running by our guys. We just didn't can it.
One more in the room here.
Follow-up question on that. Did you expect Jared to get pulled tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't think it was going to be an issue, and it wasn't. So, I think he did a great job, and, he got his feet under himself really quickly. I thought he was super effective, and he got some opportunities early on. Maybe you got a little snake bit there. But it'll come. It's going to come.
All right, we'll move to take questions on Zoom. here.
Okay.
Starting off with Chris.
Jared, what was your comfort level like playing in the PLL? You mentioned the speed of the game, but for you, where did you feel like your game was at, your skill and your kind of flow within the offense first game in?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd be crazy not to think, be a little rusty, but again, it's a team. You're surrounded by a lot of great players. You don't have to do it all yourself. So like I said, it was just, awesome to go out there and compete and play with a lot of, not only great players, but good guys. But obviously just, want to, finish it out there.
All right, Kyle.
Yeah, for Coach. Coach, obviously, at going into halftime, it was a close game. You guys had the 1-goal lead. What's kind of the message in the locker room as you guys are starting to realize that Blaze is kind of, on this heater and standing on his head as the game progresses? What's kind of the conversation on the sideline trying to unlock that code as he's, just continuing to make save after save?
Yeah, we knew we were running by him from the bottom up, and getting opportunities. Blaze is just a big body on top of just being incredibly talented with his hands. So I think our focus was on the little mistakes that we made, whether it was an offsides or so on and so forth. But we talked about trying to get the ball inside to the crease to make it a little easier to finish, and I think Manley was the only one that did that.
Yeah, Dan.
Coach, a slow first half for Owen, and then kind of a slow day on the whole. Now, have you guys started to think about, or would you consider making a move to Logan, to McNaney in the near future?
Yeah, I think that's on the table. We're gonna have some discussions about it. I talked to Owen after the game, and he was pretty disappointed. And we'll just have some conversations. And we drafted Logan for a reason, and almost went with him at halftime, but decided that all the goals for the most part after watching it back were not all his fault. So yeah, well, it'll be something we make a decision on this week.
All right, last question, Kyle.
Yeah, for Jared. Jared, I know this week has probably been like a big-time whirlwind for you. How much of a weight off your shoulder was it when that first whistle blew and you were just out there and you could just kind of focus on playing lacrosse with your new teammates for the first time, reconnect with guys you know?
Yeah, I think it started before, even just a couple of the practices, just being out there. Again, the guys they're awesome, super welcoming, no egos or anything. Like I said, just made it really easy for me, just to go out there and just kind of be myself.
Great. Thank you very much for the time, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you for joining us. Congrats on the win. Coach, congrats on your first win in Blaze on the single game saves record. We'll start with opening statements from the three of you and then take questions in the room and on Zoom.
Yeah, I guess I just this whole weekend so far, right? It feels like we've been here forever. But to come to Charlotte and our home stadium and to see our fans and to be in an incredible venue and have the support of the city and the Red Legion being here in person was awesome. And I didn't think we played great lacrosse for 3 quarters and was very very honest with the guys about that. But I took the job. I said we've got the best goalie in the world, and we'll build from there, right? Our team is built from the goalie out, and certainly you couldn't ask for more evidence tonight that we earned a win on Blaze's back, and really an incredible performance, and he allowed us to stay in that game, and finally we won that last quarter. But it was a dogfight the whole way through, and there's no way that we're sitting here with a W unless he had that performance.
Go ahead, Ross.
I think that game was exactly how we expected it to come out. We knew it was going to be a dogfight. Every game of the season is going to be a dogfight. Low scoring at first, and Blaze kind of took us all in the middle at halftime and told us that we weren't having enough fun because it was true out there. There wasn't a lot of smiling faces. This is a team that's always had a chip on their shoulder. We've always gone out and played for each other, and there wasn't a lot of that, having fun and getting back to why we're here. And once we started doing that in the fourth quarter, everybody was firing. The defense is always going to step up for us, so offense had to do our job, and, in the fourth quarter, we finally stepped up for them.
Yeah, I'm just happy for all the new guys in this league that got their first win. You play to win the game, and, the weeks are long after a loss, so I'm happy that, we were able to show up and win. I'm especially proud to be part of the chaos, rebuild, new era, whatever you want to call it. I believe in this coaching staff. I love wearing red, and just feels good to get them a win, and, the job's half done. It's halftime right now for us, so obviously, we're going to continue to smile, but need to flush this and, come out and put a strong effort towards a hungry Redwoods team.
All right, we'll take questions in the room.
Shane Connick from the Charlotte Observer. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So how cool is it to come here to Charlotte and get a win? Also, specifically, Josh Zawadek, to be down here in Charlotte and growing the game of lacrosse?
Hey, you got a job sports broadcasting. I like the way you asked that question. This is home. Carolina's a lacrosse city. We kind of knew that from the history of pro lacrosse being here. And for me personally, my mom moved down here about 3 years ago. So getting to see her and play in front of her, it's always a family reunion for me. And, I love coming to Carolina and wish it wasn't so sweaty.
Can we get your mom to come to the rest of the games?
Listen,
I like. We got 19 that dress, and we'll put her. She can be number 20 if she comes to every game. We'll take it.
I will have clean clothes tomorrow, so I'm thankful for her.
And, Coach, just connecting with the fan base today, when you see the number of spectators here about an hour before, you see the long line getting in, and you see just the number of families and kids of all ages out here growing the game in Charlotte.
We love it. I mean, when I took this job, it was one of the most exciting things for me was the venue and knowing about the Red Legion, knowing that this community has always supported lacrosse, and when we became the Carolina Chaos, for me, this is a place I want to be. I can't wait to be here more than one weekend a year and contribute to the growth of lacrosse in this area, in this community. And I think seeing all these kids come out and they're so excited to meet, our players and get autographs. And it was an incredible experience for all of us. I think it was a really great night for Charlotte lacrosse, and hopefully we can do the same thing tomorrow night.
Yeah, Coach and Ross, you guys both mentioned a lot of new faces on offense between Ikers, Hillstrop, Ferreira, all you added pretty recently, and they've been a big part of your offense. What has that kind of done for your offense as it kind of changes over from last year?
Yeah, I mean, some of it was, just change of direction, and some of it was out of necessity. We got Shalom Beatties also, who had a good night tonight, and it was his first time being with us. Last night was his first practice. And we had some injuries that kind of forced our hand. We were a lot of new faces even prior to the injuries, but we have Sergio Perkovic was out with an injury, and Shane Knobloch was out with an injury. Chris Aslanian was out with an injury. Those were all first game starters that were out tonight, so we had to go even deeper than we already had. And I love the effort. Ross in particular had an amazing game tonight. It was fun to see. It's going to take them time to figure out not just the scheme, the offensive scheme, and what we're looking to do, but also how to play with the other 5 guys that are out there, right? That takes time. And, I felt like late in the game, you started to see a little bit more chemistry. I'm hoping that that's something that's a trend. And, every game we can just get a little bit better on the offensive end, right? It's kind of, the baseball expression of giving a pitcher run support, right? We've got the best pitcher, but we've got to give him enough run support that when he has a performance like tonight, we can win the game.
Yeah, I'll kind of touch on that a little bit. I think, this is an offense with a lot of new faces, but it took only a couple days of training camp for all of us to start gelling, and some of us knew each other previously, and that group really loves each other. We play for each other out there. It's a very unselfish group. You got guys out there playing for each other, dodging hard, moving the ball, being super unselfish, and I think that's what eventually will be our MO. And once we get that chemistry, we have it off the field. We're building it off the field, and you're starting to see that.
Ross, for you, a career high. What was clicking so well tonight?
I think, just based off what I was saying before, it's such an unselfish offense. It could be anybody every night. Iker last week had an explosive game. It could be any of those guys. JJ is always in the mix. I think we have such an unselfish offense that, whoever's chance it becomes, then, they're going to bury. They're just doing their job. So out there, I was doing my job for the guys tonight, and it happened to be my night. But, tomorrow night, it's going to be
your night again.
That's right. That's what I was going to tell him.
Blaze, for you, what does it mean to not only break the record in general, but to do it in front of the fans? And now we learned that your mom was in the stands as well. What does it mean to do? What does it mean to do that in this specific weekend?
Yeah, it means absolutely nothing to break the record. It means absolutely everything to do it in front of my family and, people that care about lacrosse in the Carolinas. That's what this is about. It's the medicine game at the end of the day. And, it's a little cliche, but, I don't think it's a coincidence that 10 years into my career, I have the best night of my career in front of these fans that just gave off the energy, and from the drum to the Red Legion to, just all the red in the crowd. That's what this is about. But, yeah, record doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, Blaze, you started hot with 9 saves in the first quarter. Was that just one of those games where it's like you're locked in from the first whistle, like you're feeling good, just seeing the ball?
Try to be locked in every game, right? That's my job, is to save the ball. Guess first time I've had a good game, so hopefully I keep the momentum rolling into next game, and stay locked in. Appreciate the PLL having the glow in the dark balls. Appreciate Coach Sweeney drawing up great defensive game plans, and having the brothers in front of me that are willing to sacrifice it for me. Mark Lassini stitched up, soaking a shot. Jack Rowlett not letting anyone run down the middle for free, getting stitched up. That's how this rolls. They sacrifice for me, I sacrifice for them. That trickles down. That's chaos in a nutshell.
Any other questions in the room? All right, we'll take questions on Zoom. Starting with Kyle.
Blaze, congrats on the record. Coach, congrats on your first win in the PLL.
Thank you.
For Coach, when you're watching Blaze out there and you kind of just see him in that type of zone, is it kind of clicking for you that he's having the type of game that he's having while you're controlling and managing everything else that's going on? And Blaze, you talk about Coach Sweeney and, him being a new coach on this staff as well. What do you think he's brought to the table for years now in the league, but what do you think he's brought to the table that's been new and has really helped you guys in these first couple of weeks?
Go ahead.
Start with the beginning.
Yeah, just go.
Nah, when it's watching Blaze play is certainly, it's an incredible experience to watch him from the sideline, and I have to say, it's just what I've come to expect from him, right? I've watched him for a long time, and I know he's a great goalie. I think I probably take it for granted. I don't think I'm noticing. I certainly was surprised when they told me how many. I knew he played great, but at the end of the day, he's the backbone of this team, and not just in the goal. His leadership is also, critically important, and nobody has the pulse of this team more than Blaze does, and he leads us off the field, and certainly leads us on the field as well.
For me, KB, bringing a legend in like Kyle Sweeney. You know, I think professional lacrosse is in a unique stage that, you know, every year you're looking at rule changes, the style of play is kind of changing. You know, it's a lot different than what you see at college and high school. And, you know, Coach Sweeney is, you know, he uses his brain to its full capacity, and he has a really good understanding of how this league operates, how guys are successful, how they're not successful. And, you know, I think for me, you know, one thing that I appreciate about him is his willingness to, you know, adapt to, you know, our style along with mixing in his own. And ultimately that comes down to, you know, sucking confidence out of offenses and putting them in unfamiliar situations and letting the shot clock do its job.
Hayden?
Yeah, Blaze, for you, you've long been a teammate with Troy Ray, and tonight he has sneaky 8 ground ball night. What does he mean to the middle part of the field for this team?
Yep, he's been doing that for a long time. You know, me and Troy have a great relationship. I don't want to say, you know, I pick on him a little bit like I'm his older brother, but I do expect a lot out of Troy. And, you know, he's a silent assassin in this league. He always is. We joke around in practice. You can't skip the ball on Troy Ray. The ball's on the carpet. It's Troy Ray's ball. And, you know, in a game that, you know, the ball moves fast and people are moving fast, having someone that, you know, controls possession for you and gets your team the ball, you know, makes the marathon downhill instead of uphill.
I would say, you know, the other thing about Troy is he's sneaky, you know, in the way that he plays the game. Everything's super quiet. He's a phenomenal leader. He doesn't say much, but he leads by example, and he's willing to do, you know, whatever needs to be done. And you know, he's a critical piece to our team. And you know, you couldn't ask for a guy that does more and ask for less.
Kyle?
Yeah, for Ross and for Coach, you know, Garrett Degnan had a hat trick tonight. Just talk about what he provides, you know, with the powerful shots that he's able to kind of unleash. And Coach, you know, there's a couple tweets out there saying that he might set the record for longest ones to ever be scored in the PLL. Will there be any film study there with Degnan so he can get a little bit behind that arc and rip some twos for you guys as well?
Yeah, I mean, I give credit to Spencer Ford, our GM, for recognizing a talent when you know, when we were needing a lefty on that side, and we had to go out and find, you know, a couple of guys. JJ Silstrop was an addition. Deggs was an addition. Challen Beatty was an addition, and then obviously we haven't been able to show Hilt yet, but he'll be out there as well. I would just say that. You know, long ones are probably a mistake, right? You either want to be behind the line and give yourself enough room, and most of the time, like you're saying, you're talking about a foot, right? 12 inches is not going to make a difference in the outcome of the shot, but it certainly makes a difference in the scoreboard. So we'll make sure we talk to him about it tonight and see if we can back him up a little bit.
Coach, your shirt is drenched right now. Can you take us through that moment post game and the
Yeah, they caught
experience
me
of
by
that first
surprise.
moment?
I thought maybe it would happen in the locker room, and they got me, you know, right after the game. And the water it felt great because it was so hot out there tonight, but it took my breath away a little bit. But it was a really nice gesture and you know, something that's fun to celebrate here in Charlotte and in front of our fans. You know, I think we've been doubted a little bit, and that's okay, right? We're a team that has a lot of new pieces, and you know, it was fun to come out and play well enough tonight to win a game, and certainly, you know, Blaze gave us a ton of support, and we were able to do enough to win the game in the 4. So I'm grateful for that, and it's nice to feel the love from the guys, right? Being a new coach and replacing a guy like Andy Towers, who's, you know, such a huge personality and a guy that I respect. Actually, one of the favorite parts of my night was going back to the locker room, picking up my phone and seeing a nice message from Andy Towers. Congrats on the first win. You know, that's the type of guy that he was, and so it felt great. It was a really nice moment.
We're really lucky to have Coach Colsey. We're really lucky.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the time, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.